geez.
I see Dillon getting drafted. I don't know, 8, 9, and to me that seems a little bit
too early. Yeah, too early.
If something happens
No,
to
I mean,
Jones,
that's fine, Chris. Dylan is going with Tony Pollard. I mean, that's where you start taking the handcuffs, right?
true. Yeah.
Jamal Williams, right? He's right around there. But I'm not taking Dylan before Zach Moss or some of those starters run out, right? Zach Moss or Damian Harris. I'll still take them.
Agreed. One guy that I've been targeting that I haven't gotten my hands on yet is J.K. Dobbins. I really need some J.K. Dobbins action.
Yeah.
I think they're going to run Lamar a little bit less. And Dobbins, who's one of the top backs, down the stretch last year, had a touchdown, I think, in 7 straight games.
Yep. The only worry I have, Chris, is they really like Gus Edwards, and that limits some opportunities. But Gus is not the pass catching back there. But I think I agree with you. I think Dobbins probably has more upside than DeAndre Swift. That team is going to be a mess. The Lions.
Yeah.
Agreed. Clyde is another guy I really like. I think he can.
Yep.
Be a top 5 back.
So just generally speaking here, when you guys draft, I found that like when I get running backs early, I feel a lot more comfortable going into the rest of the draft. Like if I go running back and then wide receiver, and then I have to go running back, I'm starting to get a little bit anxious to get one. So like I have the 101 in Vegas, and obviously I'm going to go CMC. But
101, which draft is it? Super bracket?
No, this I don't have my super bracket spots yet. This one's on Saturday, like at 2.
Main event.
Yeah.
Wow, lucky bitch.
Yeah, I know, and I don't even spend as much as you. How about that? Must be this gorgeous face. They just see it and want to recruit me. But I don't know. I'm kicking around the idea of going just 4 wide receivers in a row, but then I look at like round 6 and on for the running backs, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know.
You can take Dobbins there.
Oh yeah, round 6, yeah.
No, round 1, round 2.
Well, I could or 301.
Yep.
But
the part you have to be careful with CMC is, and I'm sure you've figured that out, is he has the week 13 bye, so you are not getting to the finals with CMC. Week 14 means you have guaranteed, because it was like Jonathan Taylor had week 14. What I liked about that is if you are in week 14, you have guaranteed $2,500.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
they're profitable.
Yeah, no, that. See, like, and I hadn't thought of it that way. I like the draft I did with you and Wasp.
Yep.
I did a lot of week 13 buys, and the logic was I'm going to have like most of my starters going for the first 12 weeks, and so I might get best record in most points.
No, that's fine. Yeah, and you will make the main tournament, but winning money matters. I always tournaments as I still need to win my league and be profitable, and then whatever happens in tournament we'll see, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The funny thing is the team of mine that finished 8th overall actually ended up in your logic, Zeb. So I lost in the first week of playoff. So I didn't win the
yeah.
I won $500, but that team was so loaded up that it just did well in the playoffs. But this thing hurt me, the bye weeks. I couldn't play some of my studs.
Yeah, it's a balance of like, okay, do I want to win the league or do I want to take a shot at the grand prize, right? So normally I try to disperse my bye weeks, but for some reason on this main event, I was just like, I'm loading up.
Yep.
I stopped looking at bye weeks. Yep. I stopped looking at bye weeks years ago when I'm drafting because I think it becomes a distraction.
Yes,
your team will change so much by the time you get to week 6 to 12,
Agreed, Chris. The only thing I try to be careful is off late, only last 2 years, the FFPC tournament, when you have those the league playoffs, the bye weeks, I think matter. And while I don't look at all other weeks, but that's week, if you draft your top 5 players and 3 of them have that week bye, you are playing from behind. I agree teams change and all, but the top 5-6 rounds are your cash players. So, it has to be a balance of everything, right? So, yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't want it. I don't want that bye week decision to make me not take a player that can get me to the playoffs.
No, as long as
I hear you. I hear you.
Like a lot of teams may start Aaron Jones and Davante Adams. I'm just saying, and load up Rodgers later. That's okay. As long as you know about it and take a Chris Carson or David Montgomery and, fill that up, right? So I think John and I did that. John, we took 3 players, right? That have bye some.
Yeah.
We figured that out.
On our main event, but we kind of covered for it.
Yeah.
As we know. And I agree with what you guys said on bye weeks, and I really think the only weeks to look at are 13 and 14. Other than that, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They're on bye week 7. I don't care.
Running back rookies, are there any guys low in the ADP that you guys really like?
Not me. I'm not a big rookie guy. I'll let Bip and John talk about that.
Well, I'll say there's no guys I love that are late ADP because I think there's a whole lot more Benjamins this year.
Yep.
Agreed.
I hear you.
So how I am drafting this year, I am definitely taking an early running back and maybe RB start, right, where I can. So that's why I've not been a big ETN and Javonte investor. I'm investing in Najee, yes, sprinkling it in. But I do really like Trey Sermon. So after Bryan Edwards, he's probably my second most owned player. I think Trey Sermon and sprinkle in Elijah Mitchell later. I really like that. I think Mostert may start. Mostert, we know, can't stay healthy.
That cut.
Yep. No, I don't think so.
No. Is his name Mostart or Must Start?
Bold prediction.
Okay, that would be nice. But Trey Sermon in 7th round or end of 6th, I really like. Because say you started with a Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey, you loaded the receivers and a tight end. Now you take Sermon and come back with Elijah Mitchell later and fill in these Jamal Williams of the world. I think you'll be okay,
I think
you almost sold me there.
I think both Sermon and Elijah Mitchell are more talented than Mostert. I mean, Mostert's fast, but he's old. He gets paid a lot. And he was kind of a pain in the ass last year, asking for a new contract or his contract to be restructured. I don't see any reason why, if they like what those 2 young guys are giving them, that they wouldn't tell him to go walk. And there's been a little bit of speculation about that. And if that happens, I think Mostert and Mitchell, the investment in those guys now is going to pay off huge because San Francisco really knows how to run the ball. They have a great defense.
Yep. Good offensive line, Kyle Shanahan offense, so.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said, but the leading touchdown rusher for the Niners this year will be Trey Lance.
Bold prediction. If Lance is out there playing, then that's going to open up lanes for whoever's running the ball too. So I like that component of it as well.
Well, he's still a rookie. That's 50-50 there, but I can see that happening. I mean, there's no reason why that shouldn't happen. And Shanahan is a great coach. I really like how he thinks. He's learned from his dad, right?
I see Aiyuk going early.
Yeah.
I really think that's just a function of Kittle and Debo being out. Are you drafting Aiyuk or are you avoiding?
I think that's a question you should ask JT because he really likes Debo this year. He told me, but I'm drafting Aiyuk. I think again it depends. I'm drafting Aiyuk before I take probably Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, JuJu Smith-Schuster, right? Or even Charles Claypool. That's where I will draft Aiyuk. Maybe Aiyuk over Odell Beckham. But I'm not going to take Aiyuk over T. Higgins if he's available, right? So I'll go Higgins, then Aiyuk. But I like Aiyuk there as my third receiver or fourth receiver on my team.
Go ahead, John. JT, sorry.
Here's the thing for San Francisco, though. You can take Aiyuk, Kittle, and Debo because there really isn't much behind those guys. All three of those guys can be productive this year.
But they don't pass. They run.
I agree with Bip.
I mean, if Kittle is healthy, JT, he's catching 6 or 7 passes, right? That's the thing, right? And then there is one of them.
I think Aiyuk and Debo is very close. And anyone that's looking at Aiyuk's stats last year, it's very misleading because I think there were only 4 games last year that Kittle, Aiyuk, and Debo all played in the same game.
Yeah. And they use Debo more as a fake running back or something. I mean,
he's like he's kind of like a.
He's a closer to the line of scrimmage guy, and they know playmaker, so they're trying to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I guess I just wouldn't feel comfortable
JT just
taking
said he likes balls in his hands.
I guess, like, if I'm drafting, I would rather take Claypool or JuJu just because I know the Steelers are going to pass, and I have confidence in Big Ben, even though he's like 100 years old. There's just some unknowns with, the Niners passing game. So just from a comfort level standpoint, I just don't get if I take like a Niners wide receiver, I just am I'm not like super confident that that's the right choice. So that's just me.
So a stat that I've heard recently that I found really interesting was, I'm going to attribute it to Jeff Radcliffe from Pro Football Focus, who's also on Sirius. He said based off data he's collected, or PFF has collected, that one target for a running back is worth 1.5 carries, not a catch, but a target. So I also heard that, trying to draft these pass catching running backs, the guys that are purely pass catching running backs, like your JD McKissicks, your Theo Riddicks, Zub from Green Bay.
I know you're just dying to talk about Nyheim. Go ahead.
Love Nyheim Hines, of course. What do you guys do with these pass catching running backs? I remember 4 or 5 years ago, JD Sproles, not JD Sproles, Darren Sproles had maybe 5 carries a game, but he caught so many balls every game that he was getting drafted in the second round, and he probably should have been. He didn't catch nearly as many balls, and didn't really do shit that year.
Whose balls?
Who was giving him those balls? Go ahead.
Priest.
Sorry.
So what do you guys do with these pass catching running backs, the guys that are purely pass catching running backs? Mostly.
So I'll start, I guess. I must say, I won't deny it. I used to be a running back ball catcher aficionado. But as I've grown and matured, I'm starting to avoid them. They're nice to have on your bench for a bye week, unless you can get, like back in the day when Sproles was getting like 90 catches a year. But like a Nyheim, a JD, who are some others? I'm not banking on them to like win me my league. I'm banking on them to hopefully have a good bye week for me, and then maybe if the starter goes down, they're the guy. It's zero, very low expectations if I take one.
So I agree, Chris. For me, it's about situation. See, the challenge with Nyheim or JD McKissick is they have a stud running back ahead of them, Gibson and Jonathan Taylor, and you expect them to take a leap in year 2, right? That's the challenge. So they are great football players, not great fantasy player options, right? But on the flip side, you look at Clyde. Why is Clyde going so high? Clyde is not going to make his money for us by rushing 25 times, right? Clyde, we are expecting him to catch 70 passes probably, right? Because Clyde is very different from anybody going around him in that ADP, right? So, or Najee Harris, right? Or Travis Etienne, and then same thing, right? Like the person I like, that's why pass catching is like Gio Bernard. If Fournette goes down, he's going to be money in Brady's offense, and he's probably going to use him like James White in New England, right? So but I agree with Zeb's point. It's probably situational, and just have to assess a lot of other factors before deciding that.